The scandalous saga between Mel Gibson and his former girlfriend Oksana Grigorieva continues, with a new twist developing almost every day. There's been a steady stream of audio tapes released by RadarOnline.com, Gibson ranting and raving using graphic language and sometimes racial slurs. In one of the tapes, the conversation with Grigorieva turns to money.
You wanted the dress from, I can't believe you asked for that. And the tickets in the Lakers box, I got rid of the box. And now nobody gets tickets because of you.
Later in this tape, Radar Online points out that Gibson yells at his girlfriend that he's broke. Pretty shocking if true, considering the millions he's made during his Hollywood career. Joining us from LA with a look at what this ordeal means for Mel Gibson and his career is Newsmax contributor, best-selling author, media analyst, and law professor Jim Hirsen. Jim writes the popular weekly column The Left Coast Report for Newsmax and is the author of Hollywood Nation and Tales from the Left Coast. Nice to see you, Jim.
Good to see you, Kathleen. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We should point out to our viewers that you do know Mel Gibson. Talk to us about just how he's handling this ordeal right now.
Well, it seems to me that based on my sources, that he's constructively engaged, that he's dealing with the priorities the way he should. And of course, you know, there's a pending criminal investigation and a custody dispute in court. So he has a lot of legal issues that he's wrangling with. But it seems to me that, you know, the person that I know, of course, is not the person I hear on the tape. But it seems as though at least, you know, he's in a good place and that he's working towards properly interfacing with professionals that are helping him, particularly in both the custody and the pending criminal dispute.
Jim, we're hearing that Gibson's ex-girlfriend, Oksana Grigorieva, could potentially be in some hot water herself. She claimed that Mel Gibson hit her and their daughter knocking out a tooth, but entertainment gossip website TMZ is reporting that Oksana's dentist says there is no evidence of a strike to the mouth and that her teeth are indeed intact. If this report is true, then just how credible are Oksana's claims?
No, it definitely harms her claim. As that, by the way, the dentist who did the repair took the pictures and told that same website, TMZ, that he thought that the picture was, quote, 100% fake, that it was not an accurate portrayal, that the picture had been tampered with. This comes on the heel of editor Bonnie Fuller, who started a Hollywood website, hiring forensic experts to examine the audio tapes. And the forensic experts, said that the audio tapes have been edited, have been tampered with pieces strung together. And so these things are going to harm her claim and also give Gibson's lawyers the chance to argue that both of those items of evidence would be inadmissible. This would be both in the custody case and in a potential, which hasn't happened yet, criminal charge against Mel Gibson.
Do we know for sure who is leaking these tapes?
No, we don't. As a matter of fact, Oksana says that she did not leak them, and that leads to the question, if that's true, who did? Right. It would seem clear that somebody in her camp, whether it's her lawyers or publicists or someone in her entourage, gave it to this website, Radar Online, which has used it to kind of basically leak out a piece every day, resulting in a lot of hits to their site. So I find it a little bit hard to believe that it wasn't her when she's the one who threatened to release it. So, but nobody knows for sure, and that's typical in these kinds of cases.
Jim, what kind of impact do you see the tapes and this investigation as having on Mel Gibson's career?
Well, for the moment, I mean, all the experts are proclaiming his career over, but the experts, especially in Hollywood, did that before, actually several times, but more recently in 2006 when he had his DUI. You know, the press has had made a lot of hay out of William Morris Endeavor, WME, dropping him, the agency dropping him, but that was inevitable because Gibson's longtime agent, Ed L'Amato, passed away. And that was the only reason he was with that agency. And he has his own, essentially his own studio. He's autonomous, so it's not going to stop his work. It may stop certain people from working with him for some time, but that has to do with what actions he takes in the future. And I think that that's not just his career, that's his image, that's his relationship with his fans. All of that's going to depend on the actions he takes in the coming months.
Now, the last time Mel Gibson found himself in the middle of a media firestorm, Christian leaders rushed to his defense. This time, however, Christian leaders have been pretty mum. Is Mel Gibson in jeopardy of losing support from religious leaders?
Well, I think that the Christian leaders are basically doing what a lot of the people that care about Gibson are doing, and that is sort of laying back, because as you pointed out at your opening, this is a constantly changing, shifting landscape of a story, and it's a pending criminal investigation. There's a lot of shoes to fall in this, and so people are reluctant, some of the particularly Christian people, and especially with the content of some of the tapes. However, he's received a tremendous boost from people like Whoopi Goldberg, people like Robert Downey Jr., and mostly people who have some sort of a relationship with him and his family and know the man, as opposed to those that are judging him strictly by the stories and the tapes and the amazing sort of tabloid waterfall that ironically has taken Tiger Woods off of the news.
Now, Mel Gibson has been portrayed as an anti-Semite, a racist, and now a violent man. You know him. What kind of guy is he? And how do you respond to his accusers and people who say that he's just not a nice guy?
Well, I mean, he's been in the business for a very long time, and there are tons of people that have worked with him and know him. And, you know, Whoopi Goldberg actually is in a better position to judge the concept of racism than I am. But that person on the tape is not the person that I know or that other people who have worked with Mr. Gibson know. And so I don't know the actual explanation of why that dichotomy exists, but he has a long history of being a tremendous family man, a good father, a generous person, easy to work with, just all kinds of positive attributes. And I think what speaks to that is in the custody dispute, just recently, just last week, there was a hearing to determine whether he would retain his parental visiting rights for the baby, Lucia, that he had with Grigorieva. And the judge said, we're not taking away those rights, despite the tapes and the photos and the claims, and in part greatly due to an affidavit, we call it in California a declaration, from his estranged wife, saying, I've been with this guy for 30 years almost, and he's never been abusive, he's never been a bad dad, and vouched for him. And she has absolutely, really very little reason to. They're in a divorce. So I think that really persuaded the judge. And I just think, you know, it's just like, this is a wonderful thing about the United States of America. We do have a presumption of innocence. And we exercise that, especially when there's criminal actions pending, there's custody disputes and things like that. And so I think, we've not heard the other side. And we need to wait and hear the other side of the story.
Now there's a report that Gibson's publicist is denying that he's moving back to Australia to reunite with his ex-wife. Do you think that Gibson would ever leave Hollywood, and won't there be lots of complications if he did?
Certainly he owns a company, he has partners, he has lots of projects, so there would be tremendous complications. But his longtime publicist, Alan Neerab, if he says that he's not leaving Hollywood and not moving to Australia, you can bank on it. And Neerab's one of the best in the business, and his word is gold.
All right. Well, it seems that we're in one of those news trends with celebrity justice-related stories breaking at the same time. The cases of Lindsay Lohan and Roman Polanski also have generated significant public interest. I want to ask you, why the fascination?
Well, I think it has to do with the celebrity culture in general, that we are a celebrity-obsessed society. Part of it is the 24-hour news cycle. Part of it is the growth of technology. of websites like Newsmax, of the ability, the accessibility to these stories, because they've always been a part of the human condition. But there's something about when a celebrity gets in trouble that causes the, I guess you'd call it the Schadenfreude effect, the old German word, that people like to see others get in trouble. The other part of it is they become object lessons. I mean, it can be positive with these stories. Lindsay Lohan can teach younger people what not to do. Mel Gibson can teach men about, how to deal with emotion and passion without rage. The story of Roman Polanski teaches us right now a very bad lesson about that some people just seem to get away with very serious crimes. And incidentally, on the Polanski front, we have a breaking concept, a story up on Newsmax, one that I covered, that the Department of Justice, the Eric Holder Department of Justice, may have played a key role in springing Polanski because they refused to give the Swiss authorities documents that were requested. They claimed that the Los Angeles District Attorney knew about that decision. The District Attorney says no, they didn't know anything about it. And then it turns out that earlier in the fall of 2009, Polanski had hired a powerful lawyer who is described as Eric Holder's closest friend, even described that way by the New York Times. That lawyer lobbied the Department of Justice in October of 2009. It looks like they have basically helped Polanski to escape justice, which is a very, very disappointing use of taxpayer dollars.
There's this perception that celebrities are given special treatment. Now, I know that you've observed celebrities in Hollywood happenings closely and for some time. In your opinion, do they get special treatment?
Well, it's a two-edged sword, and celebrities always say that because being a celebrity means that you lose a certain amount of your privacy. So more things are made public than would be with non-celebrities, such as, for example, Alec Baldwin has this embarrassing message he leaves on a cell phone answering machine for his daughter. Well, that wouldn't have been made public if it was a non-celebrity because people aren't interested in it. So celebrities get into these kinds of problems more, but on the other hand, they have additional clout. And one important point here is that in the Los Angeles area, in Southern California, they're a little wary of celebrity cases after O.J. and Robert Blake and Michael Jackson. The prosecutor's office is nervous about taking on high-profile cases and possibly losing. So they're going to be actually resolve a close call in favor of not bringing charges, in favor of plea bargains, and that actually redounds to the benefit of the celebrity, particularly the celebrities in the Southern California area.
All right, Jim Hirsen, so good to see you on Newsmax TV. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.